Okay, so I've got two trades that I'm actually looking at today. Market is looking pretty horrible. So the S&P 500 is washed out with the Nasdaq. You see some of the stocks up. You see Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla. The bigger ones are a little bit up, but otherwise everything else is down. And there's a lot of reason for that. Obviously, the Iran. We're gonna talk about charts a lot more in the two trades that I actually have for today. But I have to run through briefly on what is actually happening. So Trump is already coming out. Again, seems like Trump is a little bit sweating. He's like, like, I'm telling you again, please lay down your arms. And then they go out and they said that they would be ready to abandon their nuclear program on conditions that the United States present a satisfactory alternative. So like, no nuclear is not good for them. They want an alternative. But then what happened is that yesterday news came out that they seemingly think that they are winning, or maybe they are winning, we don't know. But they came out and they said that there's no reason to negotiate. Now, more countries moving in. Russia, for example, they didn't make a statement. They didn't say they're gonna go. Obviously, they have a lot of shit going on in Ukraine. But they said that Russia will do everything to create an atmosphere that will make US and Israel operations against Iran impossible. Now, the problem with all this, that more countries joining, and I'm going to get into oil as well, is that the ceasefire, the probabilities for a ceasefire by the end of the month, which is still another 25 days, is down to 26%, meaning the escalation is seemingly happening. And one of the biggest bottleneck of this whole thing is the Strait of Hormuz. Now, we talked about this for a million times, but Strait of Hormuz is where the oil comes through. And not just oil, but a lot of things come through. About 20-30% of the world's oil supply, though, travels through here. But natural liquid gas, a lot of other things are coming through the Strait of Hormuz. And the problem is that it is closed, as Grok confirms here as well, that the Strait of Hormuz is basically closed. They are allowing some Indian and Russian vessels, otherwise nothing else can go through, and they actively attacked ships that are trying to go through. Now the problem is multiple fold, right? One, the UAE already goes out and they're like, you should not take all the, you remember this time in COVID when there was toilet paper rush and all that shit? Now they're kind of concerned about that, and they're like, I have friends in the UAE and they're saying, get a little bit of stock for yourself, but don't take as more than what you need, because there could be food shortage in the UAE. But what is a bigger problem when it comes to the markets is the oil prices. So what is super interesting, because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, there is no other way to transport oil. We talked about it here. Oh, by the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is 𝗏𝗏, and I do these every single day. 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not here to waste your time. I give you actionable trades. That sounds good. Subscribe to the channel. The reason why it's called the 100x Club, because if I make 4% a month trading, which we do here on the channel, that's compounded over 10 years is 100x your net worth. You can ChatGPT that. But subscribe to the channel. The most important thing that I wanted to say here is that the reason why this is actually a problem, as we discussed, is because if oil prices increase, everything is using oil. Whatever you have, your clothes, your computer, whatever device you're watching this on, does require oil. So it was skyrocket inflation, but there's no other method of transportation of oil, and that's why the European natural liquid gas prices, for example, skyrocketed, and that's why we see oil pushing to highs. Now, there was what was this? Oh, what is this? Oh, it's another camera. Let's go here. So this is why we see oil basically pushing. Now the problem is, as this Qatari energy minister said, that prices could go within weeks. Production could shut down within weeks and drive oil to $150 a barrel. That is crazy. Like, that's absolutely crazy. We haven't seen those prices maybe never. I don't know exactly, but like even back in 2021, the whole fiasco, oil was up at 125. Now, even if we get back up there, oil is primed for a 50% rally. We talked about oil yesterday on the show, and it was down here at 75, and I said the reason why I'm not really keen on long in oil is because the moment there is going to be a resolution, I genuinely believe oil is going to have a 15% red candle. But if we apply proper risk management and a stop loss properly placed, this could potentially be the next trade. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Now, all that spiced up, there is unemployment data happening, retail sales happening today in the US, non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, retail, all that spies with the war thing. Definitely have to look out for whether you're trading Bitcoin or oil. Now, I told you I posted here in the community. If you're not in there, it's free. Link in the description. Telegram, join in. Or top of the pinned comments as well. I posted this as I was up $7,200 on my trade here. I posted this in the community yesterday. Now that same trade is at about 4,000 now. I still have not closed it, and I will not close it, and I'll explain to you why in a second. In fact, if we have a decent higher high, which we're gonna get into in a second, I'm going to take another long position. Very important. I still stand by this. The first decent relief rally since October is upon us. Local bottom is in. I said this on the 14th. I do believe it is happening. As Ben Cowan points out, usually you see the rally in March. This is what the guys dunking on me don't want you to see. Rallies into mid-March. So you can see that there is a rally into early or mid-March. We can see that push to 75, 78,000, as I've been explaining on the show here for quite some time. And one thing is super interesting is that if you're looking at the commodities and everything else, gold is up a little bit, silver is up a little bit, Bitcoin and oil basically moved together, which is interesting because you could have seen a sell-off in gold and an increase in Bitcoin. And Eric says here, we might want to get Eric for a show here. Another $500 million day with 10 of the 11 OGs getting love. Year-to-date hole almost closed. Since Iran strike, Bitcoin rise of geopolitical fear, Bitcoin is up 12% and gold is down. So does that mean that gold has failed as a safe haven and may be devoid of any purpose and vice versa? Meaning that is Bitcoin actually becoming a safe haven here? Is Bitcoin, because assets are being freezed in Iran, we don't really know what is, how it's quite freaking difficult to transport all that shit out. So like, what is happening? Do we see Bitcoin acting as a safe haven here? And this is why Bitcoin is up since the invasion or since the attack. What is happening? Now, talking about the TA, couple of things to note here. Very, very, very important. One of the very important things is that I do believe that this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful structure. Now, mind you, on the 14th of February, down here, I said that the local bottom is in, on the bottom here at 60. Since then, we didn't touch that. And in fact, Bitcoin is up 10%, even with this 5% drawdown from yesterday. So this is a beautiful, beautiful structure that you see here. You have a low, you have a high, you have a low. Now you have a new high. This high was ultimately formed by this low, right? So ultimately, this should be the ultimate bottom one, and then obviously you do have still the higher time frame down here. The reason why I would disregard this one down here is because if this low at 62,580 breaks, that's basically GG. We can wick through here, but if there's a close below the 62,000 level, I do believe that that is it, and we're going sub 60. But what I rather think is going to happen is the following. I rather think that we're going to see a little bit of a sell-off here, which we already have. And the 1 hour and the 4 hour bottom is at 66,130. So what I want to see, and what I believe we are going to see play out, is that there's going to be a 50% retrace onto the 50% level. We always see the market retrace 50%. We are going to see a 50% level. Probably a market open now. The market is poofed. There is, blood on the street. So probably we're going to get a sell-off down here to the 68,000-ish region, 68 to 67,000-ish region. And I want to see a market structure shift on the 15-minute. Now, this is crucial because this can happen, actually, when all the economic data comes out in the US as well, or it can happen later throughout the day, or it can happen in the weekend. So we can see a flush down here and a sell-off. An illiquid weekend is most likely going to result in a pump. So I am expecting the weekend to be actually bullish, even though there is a lot of things happening. A lot of times Trump is protecting the stock market and do not execute major attacks in the weekends, because then the stock market can't really react. That means that crypto can, though. So it can happen that we're going to have surprises. This is why it's crucial that you actually join in the community, because I leave voice notes, I leave my thoughts, everything that you want in there. So join in there. But ultimately, my play is the following. I'm leaving this trade open. I'm not touching it. I explained to you how I believe this is going to, my stop loss is basically the loss of the prop firm account. And if I make it, and if we go to $75,000, $78,000, I am going to have a $150,000 account unlocked. What I'm going to do though, is if we come back here, or when we come back here rather, It's very important to pay attention because it's not like if you want to trade this, you have to pay attention, right? So on the total market cap, it seems like that we actually have retraced the move. We have come and touched onto the 50% leg, but it's already building up liquidity. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that the ultimate high is up here. This is what we need to break above. This would be a market structure shift. Currently, what I want to see, yeah, on the total market cap, we have a 50% retrace. So that's beautiful. I want to see a break above the 2.4 trillion mark. If that happens, I am going to take a long position again. You can do a bit funded, you can do a manual. I'm going to do a manual trade now. I already have the bit funded one running, but I do believe rather we're gonna see is a new low, and then I'm gonna update you on what the actual high is, and we're probably going to bounce off from the 2.3 trillion-ish region. That's what I would like to see, and this is what I think is going to play out. Now, once that happens, I'm going to take a trade here on Toobit. If you don't know Toobit, I'm going to have it. They are a non-KYC exchange available worldwide, Singapore-based. I know them as a person. We work with them. They are partners here on the channel. They're going to have a massive bonus deposit campaign coming. And this is where I'm going to take the trade as well when it comes. So make sure to sign up. There's a link in the description. It's going to be on top of the description. And participate in the bonuses as well. This said, I do believe that we are going to have a push. I'm going to update you when that happens. I'm waiting for a market structure shift, and when that happens, I do think that the target still remains 78,000. Guys, truly appreciate you. Come back for another one tomorrow. Exciting times. Peace with everyone. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Have a good weekend.